Welcome back to the Guiding Voice podcast series. This is another episode part of TGV CORPORATE DIVA series in which we are featuring women leaders across the globe to celebrate Women's Day month for the March 2023. And today's Corporate Diva is Shreya Krishnan. At a professional level, Shreya is EVP Marketing and Communications at Aon, and she heads the Center of Excellence for Marketing Governance, Planning and Strategy for APAC, and heads marketing for Aon in India. She is a CSR specialist and a corporate grooming consultant. She is on the advisory boards of 5 organizations and 4 NGOs. She is an NLP practitioner and Gestalt master therapist. That's just one facet of who she is. This former corporate diva and Mrs. India Universe 2017 also works in the spaces of activism, dance, theatre, poetry, blogging, sustainability evangelism, modeling, and acting. She considers herself as an earth warrior and is an event anchor and trainer. She is a champion of inclusion and diversity, and she recently co-authored a book which is titled Words Matter, The Language That Girls Need to Speak. And this book is a compilation of 40 words that help the reader to choose their vocabulary in a way that allows them to redefine how human beings are treated. Not only that, she's also an Instagram influencer with over 100,000 followers, and we will get to know about her Instagram journey towards the end, so stay tuned till the end. This is the Guiding Voice podcast series, the Guiding Voice for a Better Future. Friends, I am your host Naveen Samala, just a fellow IT professional on a mission to make the world a better place to live through the conversations that matter and conversations that add value to your life and to your career. Thank you so much for joining me. And Shreya, I'm super duper excited to have you here on the Guiding Voice. Once again, I would like to thank Deepika for proposing all the wonderful women, Wonder Women or Super Women. I'm super charged. One conversation after the other, and you guys are excelling in everything that you are doing, and especially in your case, I think you are a multi-pod. You are into so many things. I don't know how you are balancing everything. So hearty welcome. Hearty welcome to the Guiding Voice.
Thank you so much, Naveen. I think I really resonate with your thought of making the world a better place, one conversation at a time. I think it is possible only through conversation, and conversation triggers change. Yeah. So I'm very excited about this.
Super. Now let's get started, Shreya. Can you briefly share your career journey by highlighting a few key milestones in terms of what it took for you to reach your current position?
I've now been working for the last 17 years. It's a fairly interesting journey because I started out as a journalist for The Hindu. It is a publication which is fairly popular, especially in South India. And that was my first job. I remember I was very struck by the idea of using voice, using writing, using words to be able to communicate whatever it was that I wanted to. So I started out like that. I consulted and worked. I ran my own consulting firm for about 4 years. I've worked with print, I've worked with television, I've worked with radio, I've worked with events. So name the sphere of marketing. I've had the privilege and I'm really grateful for the opportunities that came my way for me to have been a part of them. I think when I look back, I enjoyed being the entrepreneur because it gave me such interesting consulting projects that I could work on. Currently, also, when I look at the kind of work or the breadth of work that I do, in Aon, I have this proper corporate mainstream marketing, B2B marketing, looking at marketing from the lens of consumer intelligence and all of those pieces. And when I look at the advisory roles that I play in multiple organizations and not-for-profits, it's mostly to do with understanding the nuances of storytelling, of communicating what the organization is doing, of leveraging content, of leveraging, these very interesting business ideas of these business leaders. And I found that it's a beautiful and powerful narrative, and you're able to make change possible.
Sure. So that's quite an illustrious journey, Shreya. And now I'm curious to know what are the top three things that have attributed to your success in your career so far?
Oh, that's a question that I never really considered. But when I look at it, I think firstly, I never looked at a career as a ladder. I never saw it as a linear ladder that goes upwards. I saw it more as an experiential, lateral, going deeper, going wider kind of a thing. And I think because of that, I never felt like I had to stick to one stream or one line. It was always about exploring opportunities that came my way. I've had multiple careers in multiple streams. I've had a career in dancing, I've had a career in acting, I've had a career in writing and poetry, I've had a career in some form as an influencer, although I think I'm more of a blogger. I have had my mainstream career, I've had an advisory career. I'm a massive, enthusiast of social impact and CSR organizations. I've had a career in teaching because I've consistently taught for all these years. That stick out as one that I never looked at it as a ladder. Two, I chased and showed up for every opportunity that interested me and excited me. And three, I think I never let other people's opinions of how something should be shaped shape me. I said, I'm going to use my own intelligence, my own experience, my own ideas and explore what it means to me. And then from there, look at wisdom that's up. You would have got this also, Naveen. I answered fully.
Yeah, sure. All right. So never looked at the career as if it is a ladder, and then you chased every opportunity and never got influenced by other people's opinions. So this is what I can summarize. That's wonderful to know. And now, jumping to the core of today's topic, so we would like to encourage every other single mother at workforce, right? So, if you were to talk about the challenges that you have faced as a single mother at workforce, what are those challenges and how did you overcome them?
So I think I'm recently a single mother, and I wouldn't call myself a single mother actually, because I think it takes a village to raise a child, and I have that village. So I've never been really single as a parent, because my ex partner is very deeply involved. We are very aware of the fact that we both want to be there for our child, and so it's also about how you navigate these spaces. I would believe being single can be a superpower for various reasons. I would believe that whatever we tell ourselves about the lives that we lead becomes our reality. So if we say, oh my God, it's a challenge, it's going to be difficult, it will be a challenge, it will be difficult. But versus if we take this lens of saying, let me approach this from openness, let me see what is possible. Let me not approach it from a point of view of gender, let me not approach it from a point of view of relationship status. But who am I? What are my capabilities? What are my skill sets? What are my behaviors? What is my idea of identity? So when you ask me, are there challenges there? Yes. Challenges is for everybody, right? Men have their own share of challenges where there is toxic masculinity that believes that they have to be the breadwinners and that they have to behave a certain way for societal acceptance. And the same is true for women, because we're all living in a world that is fundamentally patriarchal, that serves a certain ideology, which doesn't serve any gender in the right form or manner. Having said that, I think it is a little bit harder if you're a woman in the workforce who's assertive, who's ambitious, who's got all of these things happening. And there is a certain lens that way the world looks at you, and it does have an impact. So I'm not saying there is no impact, but I'm saying how you let that impact you makes all of it.
So Shreya, I think you have brought in some perspectives in terms of the way people treat, right? The way people perceive, especially when you are single, right? It may impact somebody, right? And likewise, can you also talk about a few biases faced, just in case if you have already faced any biases, and are they impacting any of the career prospects as such?
So there are a lot of biases that operate, right? There's affinity bias, there's perceptive bias. In the realm of bias, bias is natural. If you're human, you need to really unlearn biases, both conscious and unconscious. And you need to work on yourself to reach a point where you don't see gender, you should see people for who they are as people, right? And it's important to see what they bring to the table, irrespective of their backgrounds, irrespective of their genders. Having said that, I have always, laughed and been amused at the way people perceive women in the workplace, the way people perceive ambitious women who are doing really well in the workplace. And I have to speak about this, right? So, one of the things that has been a consistent narrative that I hear from most women who are doing well for themselves, whether they're single or not, is the fact that, and it's a casual banter. It's not in your face, but it's very subtle, that women sleep their way to the top.
That's so pathetic, yeah.
But it's true. And I have, even recently, I was speaking to a bunch of women, and these are all women who are extremely, vociferous, stand up for themselves, stand up for people around them. And so many of them, in my experience, I'm not stereotyping, but I'm saying, of women who have come to me and shared, and my own self, I've been in spaces where the way I dress has been commented on, the way I put myself together has been commented on. Actually, if you think of it, none of that makes me the person who I am at the workplace.
Yeah.
Who I'm, what I can deliver is what I can get. And I don't think any organization or any leader will be supporting somebody simply because they look a certain way or dress a certain way, or you need to bring to the table value.
Yeah.
And I think meritocracy. And in that meritocracy, who you are and what you do is important. But having said that, those biases exist. I think it's about negotiating those biases. It's about down those. It's about understanding what biases you have to fight, what biases you have to let go. Some people, like I said, at home I say, if you're not paying my bills or taking care of my child, your opinion doesn't matter.
Yeah.
At work I say, if you're not the business stakeholder I'm delivering to, and if you're not my boss or CEO, your opinion does not matter.
Yeah.
Because commitment is to the business, and my commitment is to revenue, and my commitment is to this. So how does any of these playouts of opinions matter to me as long as I'm doing my job and I'm doing it right?
Yeah.
Right? Because always talk. It's about how much of a thick skin you can grow, or how much of giving back you can do very subtly, firmly, gently. That'll actually, carve a space for you.
Yeah. In fact, you have highlighted very important point, irrespective of the gender, right? As long as somebody is contributing to the organization, and if at all their work is impacting to the revenue of the company in some way or the other, then only they'll have their place, right? Even it is true with men, because I have come across certain people who say that, okay, this guy is always bootlicking his boss, right? Or he's a kind of pet for his boss, and also likewise, these are all certain things which, in my opinion, are kind of assumptions. Great, thanks for highlighting that. And let's move to the next one. So when it comes to the gender equality, gender equity, inclusion, and all other things, okay, which have gained a lot of importance in the last decade or so, what can organizations do in order to promote more inclusive culture? Again, not just by the letter, but by the spirit.
So one of the first things that I tell organizations that they need to look at when they hire is to have non-gender biased hiring. And how do you do that? You do that by ensuring that you create and you build, mechanisms of recruitment, which will help you sort of identify and make sure that you're hiring for the role, the best person for the role, irrespective of the gender that they belong to. So it's about that. It's about creating mechanisms and processes. And the intent has to be from the top. The intention has to come in such a form and a manner that the leadership, the business, all of it is aligned. And there's a beautiful Ban Ki-moon quote which says, the fight for climate, the fight for gender rights, the fight for all of this are the same. It's the same fight. So do you want to be conscious as an organization? So whether it's ESG, whether it's sustainability, whether it's inclusion, it is the only way forward, right? And inclusion is proven to be extremely good for profitability of the organization. So, when you look at it, whether it's productivity, whether it's positively, the numbers stack up. The numbers are speaking for it. So, one is intentionality, come with the intent to apply processes to ensure that intent is carried through. And three, work with the people in your ecosystem to raise their awareness so that you are actually building a conscious culture at the workplace which looks at people for who they are.
Yeah.
Beautiful line which says you can be invited to a party, but if you can't dance at the party, and then going from there, if you can dance at that party like no one is looking, that is the most inclusive place, because no more are people putting on masks and coming into workplaces saying this is my game face, and that's all passe.
Yeah.
That's in the past. So what can we do to really make this happen as organizations? One is to create the environment. Two is to invest in the environment. Three is to consistently raise awareness and have conversations around it. And four is to educate people about biases that they may be sitting with.
Mm-hmm.
So build it.
Yeah. So it should start right from the hiring, and intent has to come from the top. There, those are certain important aspects of it. And also, do you think it is important to break down the stereotypes? Like before we even talk about this diversity and inclusion.
Yeah, I think firstly gender stereotypes, because I've met some incredible people from the LGBTQIA community who are amazing. They do the kind of work they do. I've met some amazing trans men and trans women, who are transforming the narrative of not just themselves at work, but their communities at work. So there's such a shift in the lens. And I think in the last decade, we've become a lot more aware, and we're able to create a lot of space, and we're able to hold space for people who are different. And that can happen only through the breaking of stereotypes, which is what we're seeing. So the stereotypes talking about exist because, human beings like to slot people into little boxes. But when you boxes is when the world opens up for you. And that kind of world opening up is an experience that really elevates your transactions at work, your relationships with people, and the spaces that you hold and occupy. And I think it's about that.
Yeah.
Really.
All right. Yeah, it makes absolute sense. And this has been serious conversation. And let's add some spice to the episode. If you're ready, I'm going to kick off a quick rapid fire round. Awesome. Yes. All right. So let's get into it right away. And name the first word that comes to your mind.
Inclusion.
Have you ever slept in a classroom or a critical meeting?
No.
Wonderful.
No.
If you could be... go ahead. All right. So if you could be the character in a TV show or a web series, what character would you want to be?
I think I would love to play someone like a Michelle Obama or an opera. Yeah, so I would love to play somebody who's very authentic and very real, at the same time who's also not afraid to be whatever versions of themselves that they are.
Yeah, that's so nice. In fact, I admire both those leaders. In fact, they're inspiration to not just women, but men as well, right? Oprah is one of my role models when I started this podcasting journey and all, because that's how she's also driving so many conversations. She started from there now, right? So great. Moving to the next one. Can you describe yourself in just one word?
Exploratory.
Awesome. Exploratory. And if you could pay someone to do one of your chores, what would it be?
Anything domestic.
Fair enough. What do you impulse buy most often at the store?
I think jewelry and apparel.
How much do you spend? If you don't mind.
Spend. Ask me this question. I must say, an obnoxiously stupid amount.
Oh my God, I can imagine that. That was great rapid fire. And before I conclude the rapid fire, here is the last question. And I'm really curious to know what is one electronic gadget or the fantasy gadget that you would like to see or invent yourself?
So I've been saying this. I like capsules that pass through cities. So like a little capsule that can just transport me from where I want to go really, really quickly. So I don't have to be in traffic. I think that's my biggest pet peeve. I'm like, please, I don't want to be driving or I just need to be able to enter the key, and in the next few seconds I need to reach my destination. I think that is something that I would really love to get behind.
Yeah, in fact, that will attract a huge demand from everyone, almost everyone. Good one, Shreya. All right, so let's flip back to the mainstream. And before I let you go, one final question. And here comes the hot topic, right? Can you talk a bit about Drama Rani and also share some goods and bads, or good, bad, ugly, worst, everything about being an Instagram influencer?
It happened very non-planned sort of a way. I was doing the 100 Sari Pact and I finished that on Facebook, and somebody said you should have actually put it up on Instagram. It's a good platform for that kind of an audience. I said, okay, so what do I like? I like conversations on people doing interesting things, on sustainability, on women, on entrepreneurship, on diversity and inclusion, on sustainable brands and businesses, conscious selling. I love Indian handlooms, Indian handmade things. So I said, why don't I start a page which is who I am, right? Because I'm not unidimensional. And I said, let me begin and create this ecosystem which is authentic, which has storytelling, which is real, which has anecdotal pieces of travel, of personal experiences that are pulled together in the context of the kind of change or impact that I wanted to drive. So it started like that, and it became a place where I would just share things that inspired me or interested me. And the way the platform grew, it was not something I envisioned or imagined at all. It happened organically. Never really put too much effort into it. But one thing I did do is I've supported a lot of women businesses. I've supported a lot of sustainable businesses. I'm very happy that I'm able to hold space for things like that. I think the good is that you can share a lot of things, and you can be that, you can use the platform as a conscious voice for change. The bad is that I'm very anti-establishment, so I get trolled a lot. And I think the ugly is just the fact that the good overrides the bad and the ugly. And I keep telling myself that, anonymity gives power to voices that would not tell you what they tell you on social media in person. So they're not voices you need to really listen to at all. When I don't take opinions of people around me, why should I take opinions of people who aren't even real to me?
Yeah.
I think that's the good, bad, and the ugly. But I think the good news is the number of interesting people I've met, the great conversations I've had, the brands I've come in contact with through the platform is just incredible. So I'm just happy to have used the platform for all that it gives me. And I don't really look at likes, or I don't measure myself on the platform. It's more like a daily diary of where I've been, what I've done, usually late journal of the things that I've experienced. And so I just look at it like that. So that's my journey on the page.
Wonderful. And it's so nice to know about your journey. And also, most importantly, the conclusion part about Drama Rani and all. So I really appreciate your time and insight shared on this podcast. And it was a pleasure hosting you, Shreya. Thank you so much for being part of the journey.
Thank you, Naveen, and thank you for doing this. I think you're doing a phenomenal job bringing those conversations to the fore. I'm looking forward to this.
So, pleasure to host you. And folks, that was our episode with Shreya. And before we move into the trivia section, here is a request to you. Please subscribe to us in case if you haven't done already. Also, if you have loved this episode and found the conversation useful, please share with at least 3 of your friends or colleagues who can benefit from the guiding voice. Thank you so much in advance. Now, today, let's talk about Instagram influencers. Now that we had a an engaging conversation with one of the Instagram influencers, Shreya Krishnan. I would like to share a few facts about Instagram influencers as part of today's trivia. Instagram has over 1 billion monthly active users, making it a prime platform for the influencer marketing. And the first Instagram influencer is believed to be the fashion blogger and model Huda Kattan, who rose to popularity in the mid 2010s. And if you were to talk about a few highest earning influencers on Instagram, here is the list: Kylie Jenner, Dwayne Johnson, and Kim Kardashian, earning millions of dollars per sponsored post. I repeat, earning millions of dollars per sponsored post. And Instagram is not just for individual influencers, but also for businesses and brands who use the platform to connect with customers and promote their products. In addition to that, micro influencers or individuals with a small but highly engaged following are becoming increasingly popular because brands are approaching them due to their ability to reach niche audiences and drive the conversions. So Instagram influencing or influencer marketing on Instagram has also expanded to include virtual influencers or computer generated avatars who have gained thousands of followers and even landed brand deals. I'm really curious about what Chat GPT and BAD are going to do in this regard, and looking forward to how the artificial intelligence as well as bots of the world are going to shape the future of influencer marketing as well as Instagram marketing. So that's all for today. In case if you have come across any Instagram influencer, just tag them on this post if you have found the episode on Instagram. So thank you so much for joining me. And folks, do not forget to share your topic recommendations or guest speaker suggestions by reaching me on theguidingvoiceforyou@gmail.com. I'm your host, Navin Samala, just a fellow IT professional and a passionate learner on a mission to make the world a better place to live. Until next time, bye-bye. See you all in the next episode with another corporate diva.